right, welcome back to episode 95 of the hops&bops podcast. I am Tom.
And I am Joe.
Thank you. And we are going to do a cool little pairing that I thought of. We're going to be doing the Rex Orange County album Apricot Princess. And to pair with that, we have Road Jam from Two Roads Brewing Company. It is an ale brewed with raspberries and with lemongrass added. Ooh, Joe's doing like the was it the Lazy Susan that spins around?
Oh yeah.
Or you're
I'll
like
have a video now.
You're like an elementary school teacher reading like a picture book. You're like,
Yeah.
Oh, you see,
Showing it to the class all around. Yep. Oh God.
But yeah, no, I've been drinking this beer since probably last year. I think was the last time I had it.
Mhm.
And I got a 6-pack of it this week or last week, I guess. And this is my last one. So
Nice. You're deep into it.
I've been enjoying the hell out of this beer this summer, and it's good. It's a really good, like refreshing, summery beer with a lot of different fruit flavors as well.
Yep.
Joe's gonna pour it in the glass. You get a visual aspect of it. I actually haven't seen it outside of the glass. Oh, a lot more red than I anticipated.
Yes, it's all the berries in my fancy ass bougie Two Roads glass.
Oh wow, you're pairing it with the glass as well. That's the extra
Two Roads stemware.
Ooh, where'd you get that?
Two Roads.
Oh, makes sense. All right.
Yeah. So cheers.
Cheers.
Boom.
That's good. I really like that.
Oh yeah.
And it's not really like an IPA, really. It's more just an ale in general.
Yeah, it's like a wheat ale. It's kind of comparable. Like imagine a Blue Moon, but with berries.
Ooh, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah,
that's kind of my assessment of it.
Okay. Yeah, it is a wheat beer or wheat ale, I should say.
Yep.
All right, let me pull up the twoRoadsBrewing.com website and read a little bit more about this for you, just to bolster our taste buds a little bit. This releases in May, so it's seasonal beer. I don't know when it stops, but definitely more summery time beer. They release it in 6-pack cans or 6-pack bottles and draft, but I think we both got the bottles.
Yeah.
I actually don't see it in cans around here, so I don't know why it's saying it is, but either way, it is a wheat ale fermented with real red and black raspberries, accented with fresh lemongrass. It has stunning red color and mouth-watering berry aroma, fruity and refreshingly dry.
That's that.
Road Jam. It has an ABV of 5. Key ingredients are raspberries. Now, Joe, I know we've had talks about your fruity palate.
Yes.
Remind me, are you a raspberry guy?
I'm not a big berry guy, but with beers, I don't mind it. I like the flavor. But like in terms of like eating the fruit, I don't know. I just don't like strawberries, blueberries, raspberries. It's not really my flavor. But this is good. This is a good beer. The berry flavor really isn't that overpowering for me, so I do enjoy it. Yeah, this is one of their go-to beers for sure. In fact, they named a annual music fest after it that Mike and I just went to with a bunch of people, called Road Jam, and that was a lot of fun. So like a 2-day fest. So they really go all out on the branding for this beer. But yeah, it's great. I do love Two Roads bottles. They use like the short little pony bottles.
Yes.
Yeah, not really a pony, but like kind of halfway in between the normal bottles and then like the red stripe bottles.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they look the red stripe bottles.
Yeah. Yeah. But I like the bottles that they choose. It kind of stands out against other bottles. But yeah, I mean, it's a great looking beer. It's a great tasting beer and fruity beer.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily their like staple, but it is something that I've been seeing a lot more recently, kind of being pushed more to the forefront. And we've talked about this before. Joe, I don't know if you agree with me, but I think Two Roads is probably in the top 5 breweries in Connecticut. It's a staple wherever you go. You're going to see a lot of Two Roads beers around here.
Right. And I just personally, there's some other breweries that I just personally like more,
Yeah.
beer wise. But I mean, they're easily the number one in Connecticut in terms of like distribution and brand awareness. Like they're number one, and they also brew other breweries' beers. I know we've talked about that on past
Oh
episodes.
yeah.
Yeah, and they're easy. I mean, they're distributing like nationwide, all up and down the East Coast too. I mean, they're one of the tops now, like on the East Coast of the country, which is pretty awesome. Right here,
That's really cool.
I'm in Milford, so they're about 10 minutes south from me, and yeah, they're just doing great things there. They've really put in the work. I think I've said it before, but I just love the story. Like I went on a tour one time at Two Roads, and they just said how they got their start. Like they started just by kind of brewing other breweries' beers, breweries that didn't really have the tank space or the means to brew their own beer. They were like, "Come on in, we'll brew for you. We have the warehouse space." And that's kind of how they got their start. But in the meantime, they were brewing their own beers too. So it's kind of like, I don't know, just in my head, I always thought of them like they were like the cover band of breweries at first. Like they started out as like a cover band doing other people's beers, and then slowly they kind of launched their own beers, and then here they are now. And then they have Area 2 next door with all the experimental brews. And yeah, I mean they and their events are just all over the place. So I think in terms of success, easily number one in Connecticut for sure.
Yeah, they definitely do have a good like marketability aspect to them. Everywhere
Yeah.
you go, you're gonna see some kind of Two Roads presence in the beer scene. So
Yep. Mhm.
definitely love to see it too, because they make quality beers, in my opinion.
Yeah, they do. They make really great beers, and kind of a lot of them are go-tos for some people. And this is definitely one of the more popular seasonal ones. I know we did some other seasonal ones. I think we did that like accelerator one.
Yep.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the most popular seasonals that I'm aware of.
Yes.
So
And speaking of other seasonal beers, they have I know I said on the end of the last episode that it was called Peach Jam,
yes.
and they do have a peach jam.
Mhm.
But just in terms of, I think they just are putting it out recently, or I just can't get it around this kind of area as big of a widespread reach as they do.
Mhm.
I was thinking of Road Jam in my head because that's the one I've had before, but eventually I would love to try Peach Jam because it looks like it has hibiscus and real peaches and some other kind of jammy fruit flavors as well. So
Yes.
that's something I'd like to try down the road as well. But yes, we have done a lot of different kinds of Two Roads beers. I mean, my first beer I brought to the show was a Two Roads beer. It was the
Oh,
Cloud
Cloud
Source.
Source. That's right. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I
Yep.
know. We just did Toucan, their kind of collaboration with Yukon.
Mhm.
Eventually, I want to bring Little Heaven. That's one of my favorite beers of all time, and that's kind of their staple.
Mhm.
And yeah, like you said, we did Accelerator and some other stuff. So, and
Yeah.
yeah, they're just a great brewery, great beer. I love this beer. It is a little like, sometimes we say, you can't finish a whole thing of it, but over the course of maybe 2 weeks, I've definitely finished a 6-pack by myself. So
Yeah. There you go.
it definitely has that taste that you can come back to.
Mhm.
However, I can understand why it's seasonal. I wouldn't want this in like
Right.
the winter or fall because it might be a
Mhm.
little too much.
Mhm.
So, I every summer I'll take a trip back to Road Jam and kind of might reintroduce my taste buds and
Yeah.
make it a good
Exactly.
pairing. So
It does get a little tart, and that comes from the berry end of it.
mhm.
But I did look up peach jam, which I actually really like peach jam. It's really good. It seems to be a spring beer. I think it's released in March, so it's probably done. Because when I went to the store, I went to the make your own 6-pack just to pick up one of these quick. I saw like a couple cans left of peach jam, but
Mm.
no like 6-packs or anything in like the normal shelves.
Mhm.
So I think it's
Okay.
out of cycle right now. So you could probably look out for that next spring. But it is a good beer. Definitely try it. If you're a fan of Road Jam, you'll and you like peach flavoring, then you'll definitely like peach jam.
Awesome.
So Yeah.
All right, cool. So shall we transition?
Let's do it.
All
We're
right.
going
Let's
from some berries to some apricots.
yes. So this is the album of choice. It is Apricot Princess by Rex Orange County at the beginning of this year. You know, obviously I've listened to Rex Orange County for quite a bit of time, probably since about 2018 or so.
Mm-hmm.
I know he did a collaboration with Tyler the Creator on Flower Boy's 2017 album that we'll get to eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of my introduction to him. He's put out a lot of quality singles, like Best Friend, Sunflower, Lovin' Is Easy. Those three songs are just fantastic summery jams, some really good bops in there. And I never really I really dove into a full album listen until this in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is something. I don't really know how to explain it. It's just a really nice blend of jazz, rock, indie, mainly indie. But there's some hip hop stuff where he's kind of like rapping or just quickly talking. A really huge presence of love and loss and kind of despair and going through these kind of emotions. And it's really hitting. Let me pull up the Genius description. This album treads on subjects such as love, loss, acceptance, and the values and lessons we can learn from one another. The album started unveiling first with the song Untitled as the album's lead single, and it was released to the public on April 19th, 2017. So this is a year before I really jumped into it. I want to find the quote that he had put out. It charted relatively well. It was in top 10, top 20 of most charts. Alex is actually the name of Rex Orange County. It's not Rex. It's Alex O'Connor, I believe his name is.
Alexander James O'Connor.
Yes. So
fully.
Yes. So he said Apricot Princess is like an inside album. You can listen to the album and feel all of those emotions within one night. It could be happy and dancy, and then you can think of something that you fucked up on. Then you're upset and regret something. Then you finally remember that there are other things in your life to reflect on them. But Never Enough and Waiting Room, that's what those songs represent. But Sycamore Girl, Apricot Princess, and Television as the happier moments. It's like a big party where everything is super positive, but at the same time, you're going through all these emotions. So I think that encapsulates the kind of vibes that I get from this album as well. You know, it's not something you put on in the club, not something maybe you could put it on like the aux in your car while you're driving around on some songs.
Yeah.
I made a TikTok kind of list of 100 songs to listen to before you die, and I believe I put Television / So Far So Good in that list because I really do think that's just an amazing song.
I think that song is in Spotify's like top 5 for Rex Orange County. Like when you pull the artist up in the top 5, that is there.
Yeah, it's got 209 million streams. So
yeah,
that's a great song. You know, it's I really do enjoy it. We'll get to it eventually in a little bit when we go through the track list. But I think this is his best album. I think he really shined a lot on it. It's not, top of the cream of the crop, if you will, but it's something enjoyable. It's something you can kind of put on when you want to be a little reflective, a little introspective, but not too like down in the dumps about everything. You want to have some kind of positive attitude as well. And I think it's pretty versatile with its sound. There's some horns, guitars, singing, rapping. The drums are pretty solid on most of the tracks. I know you probably caught up on that. And it's just a great album. I really do enjoy it, and I'm interested to see what you were thinking of it.
This was my kind of first exposure to Rex Orange County. I had heard of him, kind of in passing from some people, and I know he has a big following, which is cool. But this is the first I've heard his music, and didn't really know, as always when we throw like curveballs at each other, didn't really know what I was getting into, but kind of had an idea that it was more on the indie end, and sure enough that made sense. I was looking him up on a good old Wikipedia, and Wikipedia lists like the genres for artists, and They say he's like the likes of jazz, hip hop, indie rock, lo-fi, soft rock, which kind of all, makes sense. But then I see bedroom pop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I had never heard of bedroom pop before. I guess that's kind of like a minimalistic kind of like songs that you could probably just make in your bedroom without much production or time or like pizzazz, which I definitely hear. A lot of the electronic sounds like they're like kids like toys, and it kind of has like a little bit of like a 80s throwback to it, but used in kind of a modern way. um some of the electronics are like the actual drum beat, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, all those emotions that you talked about, love and loss and everything, it's all there for sure. Even musically too, because I have the more musical ear. That's kind of what I gravitate towards when I listen to music, and it's all there. I mean, certain different songs have different purposes, and it was a good diverse album.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, I would agree.
shall
Even
we?
in the first track, Apricot Princess, you kind of
Yeah.
have that, not duality, but like kind of a little taste to see what you're gonna get from the rest of the album. It
Hmm.
starts off very slow with no vocals, this kind of swaying instrumentation of a lot of other things, probably some like xylophone or something, or like marimba or something in
Yeah,
there.
there's like
Big,
timpani. It's kind of like almost like a symphonic kind of like
oh yeah,
um kind of big band entrance. Thought it set up the album pretty well.
yeah. And then after this, you get like these kind of forlorn vocals from Alex. We're on first name basis. Um,
Alex and Tom.
kind of says like, you were the first one to meet my mother and all these other things, kind of having these heartbroken feelings, and then starts to pick up a little bit, gets a little bit more snappy, more
Hmm.
more kind of builds up a lot more. So you get that duality. If you get a little bit of these forlorn vocals and sadness, but more of a happy, uplifting feeling at the end, also with more string sections and choir buildups up behind them. So very interesting choices of instrumentation with
Yeah.
this track.
Hmm.
Well, like percussion breakdown, or like right before the 3 minute mark, I like that. That's a lot of
Hmm.
fun. Yeah, it just kind of goes all over the place, but in a good way, not like a jittery spastic way.
Hmm.
Just kind of a bigger palette sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, for like how minimalistic the album was as a whole for me. This song's pretty complex. With the arrangement, with the strings and the percussion coming in with like the timpani and xylophone, and then it kind of goes into the salsa groove, and then
Yeah, it's got like a
later
Latin
on around
flair.
like yeah, around 3 minutes, the triangle comes in, and you're like, all right, triangle solo, let's do this.
Finally.
And then it's like this salsa kind of mamba groove, to finish it out.
Hmm.
um I thought it was a pretty cool way to open the album. um yeah, very talented. Like I would never, this it's a very complex song.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I didn't
there's
expect
definitely.
it from what I thought I was getting into.
Mhm. Yeah, there's a lot of different layers kind of going on. You've got this dreamier kind of smooth aspect to the beginning, and to the very very end to a degree.
Hmm.
Yeah, like you're saying, it's got that little Latin flair near the end. It's kind of got this like indie kick right in the middle of him like picking it back up, and then it goes over to that. So it's, yeah, got a lot to play, but I think it's just more or less a teaser of what's to come in a sense. So
Yeah.
you'll get a little bit of all of that on the album and more.
Hmm.
So
For sure.
definitely a cool intro and a good title track too.
Yeah,
There's
definitely.
something to say for that being the title track of like, hey, this is what the album is like. So
Yeah. Do you know of any meaning behind the title, Apricot Princess?
I'm not sure, because our good friends over at Wikipedia have the worst Wikipedia page for this album. It
Yeah, there's not
basically,
much detail on it.
yeah, it just says this is the second studio album by Rex Orange County. It was released in
Yeah.
April, and then it just track lists. personnel, like who does what track, how it charts, and then references. So
Mhm.
there's really not a lot of like meaning I could find behind a lot of this. I know a lot of it is based on either a relationship or some kind of, person that Alex has been either seeing or trying to see or whatever it is. So I'm assuming that woman is the apricot princess.
Maybe his like little pet name for her or something.
Maybe, yeah, well, something like that.
Little
Also interesting is that the two singles were Untitled and Never Enough, and that was it. So yeah, definitely an interesting selection, but by them.
With the next track, Television So Far So Good, being popular on Spotify, I thought that would be a single. But I guess, with artists like this, you don't really know what songs are gonna, track, or what songs are gonna get popular with people. So, while Untitled and Never Enough were released as singles, it's really fair game for what fans pick up on.
Yeah, I mean, I think artists, in a sense, have something in mind as to what they want to do for singles. You kind of think you have the most marketable song in mind when you do that. And in this song, I know it changes up halfway through. It's got a slash in the name, so there's kind of a split vibe as to the two tracks combined into one. But I know this song kind of was going off on TikTok for a while.
Oh, okay.
I know when he starts to say "What about me," they would like compress it really hard and like sounded like it was coming through a radio, and there'd be like some kind of transition to like a hot girl or something.
Okay.
Or I don't know.
You know how all TikTok works.
Attractive women get views. Kind of crazy, right?
Yeah,
right.
What
more attractive women on the podcast. Anyway, I fucking love this song. This song is easily my favorite on the album. Most energetic, a lot more guitar work and a little bit more rocking in the Television section. The most in-depth lyrics. He kind of goes a little bit all over the place, where he bounces from singing, then he'll just go into like spoken word or rapping, I guess you could say what it is. And that switch over to So Far So Good is just so great. I really can't put too much like praise on this, because I can geek out about the song for hours.
Yeah.
I can also sing through the entire song too. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's another like well-made song. I like the tempo. I like the energy behind it. There's like a little bit of angst too. I enjoy. There's like a little piano part towards the beginning that I liked. I really like the piano that was throughout. Drums are going at it. Started out as like a little electronic beat, but then it came in real. I enjoyed it. But you could just tell in his singing and his songwriting and his lyrics that he's telling a story. It's not just filler lyrics, that are just repetitive just because it's the chorus. Like every section of the song has something different to offer. So if you're someone who, likes to listen to the lyrics and pull out the meaning of songs, I mean, yeah, this guy's for you.
Yeah, one of my favorite lyrics is like right before the transition into So Far So Good. He goes, but if I could just be happy by the end of the song, but if by the time you hear it you're already gone and it didn't go to plan, then why should I continue in this life? And he goes, when there's no one around to be the one who makes them smile, so far everything's good. So I was like, damn, that really stuck in my craw a little bit.
Yeah,
in a good way. So
yeah,
I want the crowd in tears when they hear This Is That So Wrong. Like he knew what he was trying to do in the writing process. He was like, I kind of want the crowd to cry a little bit to this part, but also to tack that on to a song like Television. It's got these really heavy emotional ties kind of lined up with this upbeat, happy song. It's kind of got a duality to it. So that's something I can really enjoy.
Yeah.
They always say, if you laugh, cry, and learn something in a day, I think that's a saying. Like that's a great day.
Yeah, laugh. I think laugh, cry, I guess
With
learned. I
love or
have
something. I
heard
don't
that
know.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this song kind of encapsulates a couple of those emotions for me. So I think
Hmm.
that's why I like it so much. And
Hmm.
also, it's just really fun to sing along to. It's like right in that mid range where you don't have to push really hard to get to those high notes.
Hmm.
Um, Lyrics are touching and great, and just yes,
So you like this song?
yes. I actually I love this song.
Really like how that song ends with those like single piano notes.
Hmm.
Um, it's just a really cool like yin and yang song. You know, you got that fast, energetic like indie punk, and then it ends with that kind of ballad, piano driven part. Has something for everyone.
Hmm. Yeah, the sad indie kids really ate this up back in the day. Back in the day being 5 years ago. So
Yeah, I know, right? Seems like a lifetime ago.
I know.
Yeah.
So far. All right, anyway. Um, Nothing is the next track. It features
Yeah.
Marco McInnes.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know what Marco McInnes. The other vocalist. Okay, that's what it is. This is another one that I found later. So when I first heard this, I didn't really think too much of it, but on later listens, it really stuck with me. This song reminds me really, and I know you can't really have a frame of reference for this, but this song in particular really encapsulates what he was doing on Tyler's album, Flower Boy. This
Okay.
kind of feel these, there was those. I don't, is it another marimba or some kind of instrumentation in the beginning? It
Yeah,
sounds
it's
like
like
a dun, 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 dun.
da-na-na-na-na. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind of like a marimba xylophone. I'm not sure, but it sounds softer. It could be it kind of rings out. Could be a xylophone.
May
Yeah.
whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me heavily of the same styles of Flower Boy and what he was trying to go for at that point.
Hmm.
um this one just a laid back, kind of kick your feet up and hang while the kids are playing or some kind of sun is shining. This is a very summery song for me.
Yep. Hmm.
um Obviously kind of lovey-dovey lyrics. um and I could see something in, oh, it's no, but I wish that I could grow up the way in which you grow up, because then you never see me cry and I'd feel like a better guy. My boy Alex and his feels, but understanding of how we develop ourselves as a person is different from person to person, so you have to realize that mentally and physically, you can't really relate too much on a level unless you grew up exactly the same as someone. So maybe he's kind of reasoning why this relationship didn't work, or whatever it may be. But I like this song. This song it's more relaxed. It's not as focus heavy as Television and So Far So Good, but
Hmm.
just fun. It's a fun kickback, chill, a little bit slower song that you can really vibe with.
Yeah. Yeah.
What more can
Yeah.
you ask for?
Definitely. Was that?
Say, what more can you ask for,
Yeah.
really?
Right. Definitely on the slower end. Kind of wish it wasn't back to back with the So Far So Good part, but I mean, um, that's minor. But yeah, the music provides a nice background to his singing. Um, yeah, pretty good song.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it includes some soulful electric guitar in there.
Yep.
Um, Also, it's electric piano, by the way. So I think it's a synth making those do 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 do.
Okay. Okay.
I looked it up on Genius.
Another one of
Um,
our sponsors.
yes, yes. Sponsored by genius.com/Rex Orange County, nothing lyrics. O'Connor sings about the first time delivering a nuanced and authentic performance. The first time him, getting it in. Is that what he's trying to say?
Could be.
Oh yeah, the refrain, when we first spent the night, nothing else would ever feel that way. In my room, it all changed. So this is the beginning of this kind of thing. Yeah, and I think it's the verse or that last section. Where is it? Because lately I've been missing you, and I just kind of want your body. I know I could ease the pain, and I know you done miss me too. And if that's true, well, I'm sorry, but at least I'm on my feet again. Anyway, I'll stop
Boom.
just reading lyrics out loud to get some kind of
No,
reaction. But
it's
yeah,
snapping. It's like,
yeah.
like a
Oh
club,
my! Oh yeah, like the end.
like a
Say
poetry club.
something. Say something. It sounds like he's just kind of singing out loud to this girl, and she's not like responding at all.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah. Good track.
yeah, I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
You got what, Sycamore Girl after this?
More girl.
Um, this one's very airy, very
Yeah.
ethereal.
He has a very like hotel, like crooner kind of vibe about him. Um, you could definitely tell he's an old soul. I'm
Yeah,
with
that's a
the
good way to put
just
it.
the jazz elements to him. Like, I'm curious to hear what music he was like brought up on as a kid. Um, oh,
That was on his I saw that on Wikipedia on
well,
his own page.
it's like we planned it.
The hits keep rolling, baby.
Yep.
Artistry. Growing up, O'Connor listened to Queen, ABBA, Stevie Wonder, and
Mhm.
American alternative artists like Weezer and Green Day. He cites these artists
Oh,
and others as core inspirations for his own music. There you go.
okay. I can definitely hear like a little bit of Rivers Cuomo in his voice now that you mention it. Um, and yeah, it's like Stevie meets Weezer.
Okay, I guess. I mean, it's
Sneezer.
not just. God bless you. I mean, obviously, it's not just those two. There's a lot of
No,
other
no, no,
things,
no,
a
no,
lot of
no.
other aspects they play, but I understand where you're going through that. Is yes.
Mhm.
In 2015, O'Connor, also known as Rex Orange County, began dating fellow British singer-songwriter Thea Morgan Morell, known professionally as Thea, and she is actually on Sycamore Girl. They had met while attending the Brit School together. O'Connor has sung about Morgan Morell in a variety of his songs, and both have collaborated on some other tracks.
Mhm. Cool.
Um, on November 24th, 2020, O'Connor confirmed on Twitter that he and Morgan Morell were separating, tweeting, "I am not in a relationship, period."
Okay.
Well,
And
this
that's
is a,
Thea.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, unfortunate.
Well, that's too bad.
A little bit.
I really liked her vocals on this song. She's a really good singer.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if she has her own releases out her own music.
I believe so. I
Yeah.
can actually look that up. Hold
Hmm. And I'm surprised while you look that up, I'm surprised she's not like credited on this song. Like on the previous song, you had which song was it? Was it just the last song, Nothing?
Yeah,
Sorry.
nothing.
Yeah, Nothing had Marco McInnes on it, like you said. But then Sycamore Girl, I'm surprised she didn't get a
Oh,
credit on it.
yeah, because she has a pretty large part in the singing on this. So
Yeah, like a whole verse, pretty
yeah.
much.
And yes, Thea does have a musical presence. She has an album out called Land of Nod in 2020,
Hmm.
as well as a whole bunch of singles. So
Hmm.
there's something there as well. So that was interesting. But yeah, no, it's not my favorite. I don't think it's a huge standout for me,
Hmm.
but I think it's just beautiful. Very, like I was saying, ethereal. It's almost like it just comes in on a cloud and then leaves. Um, yeah, again, talking about this relationship or whoever it is he's talking about. I think it ties in thematically with what he's trying to do, and it plays its part.
Yeah, for
So
sure. Yeah, I really, like I said, I really enjoy her verse. I think she kind of has that crooner voice too, that like kind of lower register when
mhm.
you kind of hear that. What is that when you're like when the note you sing kind of flutters and
Oh,
it's
like
not
the
just sung.
vibrato.
Yeah, I really like her lower vibrato, um, paired with the kind of smooth, jazzy kind of instrumentals. It's a really cool sound, and then
Yeah,
they come in together after that. Um, yeah, really good sound.
yeah,
Um, but now, like for me, I'm thinking like you had So Far So Good, then you had Nothing, then you had this, kind of all just kind of low key, lower register songs. Kind of waiting for that kind of burst of energy again.
Mhm.
But hey, I mean, this is just who he is. This is his style. So
And the next song is not going to help you too much either.
right, yeah.
Untitled is like a 2 minute and change guitar ballad with only him and guitar. You know, that's it. It's not acoustic, but it's like very soft electric guitar.
Yeah, it's like
So
clean. Yeah.
yeah, very, very clean, soft electric guitar.
Mm-hmm.
This song was one of the singles chosen. I think it was the first single chosen.
Mm-hmm.
Rex actually is quoted with saying, "It's a song all about the feeling you get when you do something you regret and coming to terms with your own choices. I always knew I'd make a video for this song and always had this concept in mind. It's essentially just a visual representation of what's being said in the song." Okay. I actually haven't seen the music video, so maybe I'll check that out later. But yeah, this song, equally as beautiful. I think this is, just him spotlit on a stage playing a guitar, very sadly. It's either like him spotlit on a stage or him quiet in his room just making this by himself. This is where you get those bedroom pop aesthetics. This is, obviously there's no drums or any kind of accompanying whatever, but this is very bedroom popish, and I really like that. I like that style. I think that's really cool. I just love that aesthetic, especially during like quarantine era when you were sitting alone in your room, not much to do. This was the type of music that I would listen a lot to.
Yeah.
And this is the first for me in music. There's an auto-tuned whistle at the end. If you hear that whistle, it's definitely auto-tuned, but it's done very well. Like there's no like scooping or whatever. Like you can pick up on it a little bit. And I don't know why, but I really like it. I think it's kind of a cool
you kind of hear that
hybrid.
flutter, like the
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think it's really cool. Like it's got this not roboticness, but like this artificial quality to it that's just outside of the reach of actual human whistling, but it's still set enough to where it's not going too far out of key or whatever it is. So I thought that was really cool. Yeah. I don't know why this was chosen as a single, but
me too. Very surprised.
Yeah. Odd single choices on this album, but still, I mean, it's only 10 tracks in like just over half an hour, right? Like,
it's actually just under 40 minutes.
39 minutes 34 seconds. So
yeah,
relatively short album. You're not going to have too much to pull from, and you don't want to release everything before the album comes out. So I get just 2 singles, but weird choices for them.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that song I could definitely see like halfway through one of his live shows. Like you said, he's in the middle of the stage, no band, spotlights just on him. And it's kind of like his connection with the crowd. Like I would imagine that would be a really cool moment. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool addition to the album, not just always doing, full band chill songs, like kind of shows his vulnerability a little bit and kind of shows his raw talent that he has.
Yeah, I agree. Next track is 4 Seasons.
Yes.
I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of this, but I think it's on purpose because I think maybe this is just me overanalyzing like to hell and back, but I think there are like 4 big sections of this song. And I think the first section is my least favorite, where it's just kind of like this weird synthetic synth. Well, I guess a synth would be synthetic. I just don't really like the tone as much. Thank you. I have 2 degrees.
Wow.
This song is decent. I don't think I usually listen to it all the way through. It's probably a skip at most of the time. But you've got that first part where it's just him and this weird synth, builds up a little bit and then cuts to this huge spoken word rap section from Alex. That's okay. What are you giggling at?
Alex.
It's just because his name's not Rex, and I want to say Rex Orange County every time, but that's kind of a mouthful.
True.
Saying Rex is just like, I don't know, it sounds like a dog name.
Yeah, I guess when I talk about like Dave Grohl, I say Dave. Yeah, I guess you're right. I shouldn't laugh.
I don't know. I thought it was funny. but yeah, you've got that huge spoken word section.
Mhm.
And it's kind of interesting because he starts to hint at other things. Maybe it's like an allegory or something, but it's literally he says
Ooh, you do have 2 degrees.
in engineering, yeah. um gets more into that chorus at the end, and that's kind of like that fourth ending section that was good. So I like the second half of the song, but the first half doesn't really get it for me, and I
Mhm.
think that's probably why it's a skip, is because I just don't want to go through that first like 2 minutes or whatever it is.
Right. It's a
And
slow build for sure. Yeah.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
think if I'm not mistaken, this is one of the longer songs on the album. Yeah, it's five
Yeah.
minutes.
Hmm.
Actually it is, yeah, it's the longest song on the album. So um yeah, I usually don't try sitting through the entire thing, but again, I still enjoy parts of the song, which is why I don't always skip it. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, it was good. Wasn't my favorite as well. I will say I thought his transition from like part to part, piece to piece, whatever you want to call it, was pretty
Mhm.
smooth. Definitely sounds like one complete song, when you do experience it from beginning to end. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It just kind of
Mhm.
slow for me. Didn't really
Yeah.
go. It didn't really build up to much as I would have hoped.
Hmm.
But
This is a song that's kind of similar to the opener, Apricot Princess, where
hmm.
there's a lot going on. There's a lot of different moving parts to it that,
Hmm.
you know, don't really add up to a huge artistic statement or something that has a lot of replay value, but is still an okay song.
Right.
So I'm not entirely sure what to make of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least for me, like compared to the opening track, at least Apricot Princess had that. It built up to that cool like samba Latin groove that I didn't see coming, like because it just did not match the intro, but the way it built to it, was seamless. So that kind of sets it apart from this. Now I'm at kind of the 4:15 mark, and it did kind of build up to a bigger beat, but it didn't really like change tempo or time signature or anything. It just kind of added a trashy drum groove. So I don't know.
Yeah, I
Those are my
understand too.
favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, like you were saying before, track list energy, I think is still coming down a little bit. It kind of picked up a little bit on that track,
Yeah.
but from television all the way down to this, it hasn't. I mean, all the way down to Untitled, really. Untitled is like the low energy point of the album,
Hmm.
and so this didn't really pick it up insanely too much. Um, and neither does the next track. But I think it's with that style, that indie style or whatever jazziness you have to it. You're not
Hmm.
always going to get these huge rock inspired tracks like Television. I mean, you will get them
Right.
later in the album,
Yeah, you
definitely,
do.
for
Yeah.
sure. We'll get to it, but
Yep.
um, if that's all you're seeking from this album, then it's not gonna get to that point.
No,
And
right.
even on some of his later albums, he doesn't really get super rocky. I mean, I know on I think it was Pony was the album after this.
Hmm.
It's a very like somber, very leans heavily into the indie side of everything. So I figured this album kind of has a bigger palette of everything you want to get from him as an artist. So
Yeah.
thought it was still
I
pretty
could tell
interesting.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Waiting Room's another one of those tracks where I don't really get too much out of it. This is probably one of my least favorite tracks. It's
Hmm.
still okay, it's still a fine track. It's a little passive. It's not something that's really gonna stick with you. There's no real earworm quality to it that's gonna stick with you for a long time. So,
Hmm.
but when it's on, it's pleasant. It's not something that I immediately want to turn off. But this is probably another skip for me.
Yeah. I just at this point, it's kind of the same kind of tone for a while. But again, that's just where he is or was at that time. That's what his songwriting called for. So,
Hmm.
that's what it is. But yeah, I'm definitely kind of itching for something to materialize, some, building up to something. The end of Four Seasons had a little bit of that, but now we're kind of back down.
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember who, Jeff Rosenstock.
Hmm.
I kind of want like something like his music to come about now, like in this album, like something
Hmm.
kind of trashy, rocky, kind of something to come up. And
Yeah.
like we're alluding to it, it does, and I'm looking forward to talking about that. But yeah, just this middle chunk of the album is
Hmm.
a little tough for me to get through.
Yeah, and I think a part of that too, and that's a great way of putting it. I love your the way you spoke there. But I think a part of that too is that a lot of this is such an emotional experience for Alex that he's falling in love at the very beginning of the album, or having these what's the word I'm looking for, when you're in that part of the relationship where like you can see no wrong and just you're always in love all the time. What's it called?
Bliss, like
No, there's like a term for it. It's like your
Oh,
your your honeymoon stage. I think that's what it's
oh
called.
yeah, right.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So it starts off there, and I think nothing kind of it falls down a little bit, and it's really an emotional roller coaster when you look at the lyrics. You have these huge passages of him regretting his actions and thinking back to happier times. And this waiting room, definitely it's starting to hit a really low point in his psyche, but he's starting to reconcile a little bit. I know at the very end, um he's saying, I'm still your friend, no regret, no revenge, and no regrets. um and if it looks like you don't love me, then that's all right, and I will let you be content. I'm still your friend. So I thought that's, it's starting, it's the beginning of him like starting to come to terms with this. And
Yeah,
while musically, just on the music front of things, if you're not really following along with the storyline, um I understand as to why it starts to get a little not as interesting. Maybe not
mhm.
not interesting, but not as attention grabbing, I guess is the
Right.
word. So
Yeah, yeah. I do, however, like the last, I don't know, maybe minute and a half or so. He gets really emotional, very intimate, where it's just him on the piano and singing, very passionately. I kind of like that. That was
yeah.
this little touch.
Yeah. And then you have a quick little, I guess it's an interlude, but it's a titled as its own track,
Mhm.
Rain Man.
Yep.
Um
Little
I'm not,
sax.
yeah, it's only 44 seconds, but if you have this huge horn section, you might as well make the most out of it.
Yeah,
Um
right.
yeah, it's compromised of blues slash jazz saxophone over top of a light rainfall, hence the name Rain Man.
Hmm.
But there's not too much on this. This is just kind of him like having this huge like, what's the fourth section of grief of like just sadness, and then he's starting to come a bit more to acceptance on the rest of the album. So
Hmm.
um then Never Enough comes in, and I think this is what you were looking for, that
It
kind of
was.
pick me up back from all the way up from television.
Hmm.
um yeah, this song is great. It's punchy. It's got a lot of fun energy, a little bit more rockin', more guitars, heavier drum presence. Just there's just a lot of good things about this track, and I think it's exactly the kind of pick me up that we needed. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I enjoy this song a lot. This is a great song. Um, I do kind of like how Rain Man was the interlude to this,
mhm.
because it's kind of ushering in a new kind of mood in the album. It kind of breaks it apart. I do kind of wish the timing in between Rain Man and this was a little tighter, or maybe they had a nice smooth transition into the song, because I really liked the saxophone, and then kind of going into this kind of like a, I don't know, like a Bruce Springsteen kind of ushering in a song. I thought that would have been kind of cool. But nevertheless, yeah, this is a really great song. Kind of gave me like Strokes or like Neon Trees vibes,
Okay.
um, especially around like the minute 15 mark, where I'm assuming that's the chorus. The big trashy drums comes
Yeah.
in, the catchy chorus, you know, that it's fun, punky. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. You know, lyrically wise, he's has a mix of a whole bunch of other things. Um, you know, kind of saying, you know, how all good things must come to an end. He's mourning his grandfather's death. He has some antisocial tendencies. His romantic failings, like you've seen on the entire album. It illustrates how the people around you constantly are looking at you for a reaction, expecting you to cry with them or to be a pillar of strength. But Alex finds himself seemingly nowhere. He is truly confused, flooded with emotions that he can't express to those close to him. He's tired of people telling him that they are sorry and just wants someone to reach out and actually help. And on top of all of that, this song is on the FIFA 18 soundtrack. So
Is it?
it is. So that's a testament of his good songwriting as well.
Interesting.
So yeah, it was. I think your comparisons are spot on. I get a little bit of Strokes, a little bit of even like Bruce Springsteen to an extent. Um, and when you were reaching for like that Jeff Rosenstock kind of trashier drum sound, especially on the chorus, you know, maybe not so much as other parts on the song, but the chorus when he's smashing all those drums to come in, I definitely caught a whiff of that too. So
Yeah,
I caught a whiff, and maybe I shouldn't have put it like that, but
you stank.
yeah, the song's stanky, dude. Yeah, I where's the line that I thought was really funny? My old lady's old man just left. There's something I can say. Expect this long way to rest. Blah 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 blah. Except I'm afraid to die. If this were a movie, you'd be taking our kids to school, and I would be Channing Tatum or somebody sexy, somebody cool. Okay, that's pretty bold, but kind of
Yeah,
funny.
right.
Yeah, and especially that bridge too, where he's like, "Don't tell me you're sorry, just sorry for yourself." I thought that was really powerful.
Yeah,
And yeah,
it would be a
this
great live song too. You know,
yeah,
I'm sure the good crowd reaction out of that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I can see why this is a single as well. You know, to an extent, you know, it's a little bit later in the album. If this wasn't a single, I would probably put it as my sleeper because it is so late that you kind of need that pick me up at the end.
Yeah.
But you know, I just a great track. I really, really do enjoy this one as well.
Yeah, for sure. Great track to kind of almost bring the album to a close.
Yeah.
Right, because it's second to last
It
track.
is the second to last.
Yeah.
The actual closer is Happiness. And I think this is just like the perfect place to put this song.
Yes, I agreed.
It's a classic piano ballad. Got some strings in there as well. He's reflecting on his feelings toward this person. You know, he's talking about like, I'll be the one that stays till the end. I'll be the one that needs you again. The chorus, he's like, when I turn 81 and forget things, will you still be proud? You know, trying to have this full story come to a grandiose conclusion, and I think he does it pretty well. If it was placed anywhere else, I think it would have sounded completely out of the blue. So
yeah, definitely out of place.
Definitely nails it track list wise. Yeah, no, it's just beautiful.
Yeah,
I think it really, really, you know, it's trying to do like a quadruple somersault off the top bar into the water and just splashes in with no big effect, and it just gets a 10. Well, it's not a 10 album. It's not. I'm just saying in the analogy of the diving analogy, they would get the 10 on the ending dive. You know.
Yes,
so.
yes, the finishing kick.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is just singer songwriter, guy on a piano. Great. It really is a great song. I'm very happy with how this album concluded.
Yes.
With
yeah.
Never Enough and Happiness back to back. And you know, I'm gonna throw Rain Man into that too. I kind of enjoyed that interlude. Really, really cool ending to this. This kind of has like Billy Joel vibes, you know. Like
that's why I like it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, big fan.
Yeah. He's also got a little bit of not, I guess it is kind of raspiness where he's not necessarily as, you know, pitch perfect as he could be, but he has a little bit of stank on there, almost like a Springsteen or something, you know. Not as intense. But you know, I've never really come to like terms as to why I like that style. So maybe now this is kind of like a a good explanation. So
Yeah. I think it's just the rawness of it that you could just relate to it, you know. I do like how I think it was around like just after 3 minutes, it hit that like single piano note. You feel like that was the ending of it, but then it comes into this kind of distorted piano, kind of grand finale, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's it definitely ends not as quiet as you expected it to be.
Right.
So I think that's something that's pretty noble and kind of keeps people on their toes and
Yep.
makes it almost like you're at the end of the play and the bad guy's being sent to jail and the main character falls in love with the love interest that he's been pursuing the whole time, or at least trying to come to terms and be a better person and learn from your mistakes or whatever and start something new and then fall in love all over again. So yeah, and it's beautiful at the end. So I really can't say too much about it.
Yeah.
So but that is the whole album. That is all of Apricot Princess.
Cool.
Let's jump into our favorite tracks then, if you are so obliged. I guess I'll start. I didn't really make it too non-obvious, but my favorite track was Television / So Far So Good. Just has these great dichotomy of really heavy, not necessarily punky, but rock influenced style. Really singable lyrics. Is just baying to be sung very loudly in your cars or driving down the highway with your windows down on a sunny day. Just picturesque. And it has that dichotomy of another section of So Far So Good, where it brings it down a little bit, but it's still just as beautiful and as emotionally potent as the first half. And they both play so well with each other. It's my favorite track.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, you can't argue with that. Like we've said, I'm surprised that wasn't a single.
I know.
But I could definitely tell why it has some popular appeal. Mine is Never Enough.
Okay.
You know, if you know me, if you've been listening to this podcast enough, you know, I'm kind of on the rockier end, and that one has it. I really like the trashiness of it. It's still raw, but there's a lot to it. Yeah, big fan of that song. It is kind of too bad that it's at the end of the album, kind of because there was a, you know, a big stretch in there where you had to get through some like low key tracks to get there. But I think it was, you know, worth the wait for sure. Great song. That's my favorite track.
There you go. Yeah, bottom. Why don't you jump into bottom first?
Bottom track.
Jump into that bottom.
Let's jump into that low end. I think I'm gonna go Waiting Room. I feel like, yeah, same.
Yo, Tom Bien.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like it didn't really add anything, especially in that that kind of low section. You know, Four Seasons offered some diversity. Untitled, I did like how it was raw, but him on the guitar, you know, unlike Happiness, where it's him on the piano. Sycamore Girl was kind of low key, but I enjoyed the female vocal. Thea, you said.
Yes.
Yeah, so Waiting Room just kind of, I don't know, just didn't really do much for me. So that's my bottom track.
Yeah. I mean, I won't belabor the point. I agree with you for pretty much everything you said. It was kind of like, if you look at the track listing, the roller coaster of energy started up here and then kind of made like a parabola where it just kind of dipped down here and then up there. I know you're a math guy, you like that word.
Very good.
So yeah. I think Waiting Room was kind of like down in that like bottom middle section.
Down at the vertex, yeah.
Vertex. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, the minimum. Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's at the y = mx + b. Yeah. That's a straight line. That's
you know, you had it, and then you threw in a linear function there. You know, it just didn't line up.
To the square root of plus or minus ac over 2a. Did I get that? No. That's like slope formula or something like that. I forget what it's called.
Oh, you're all over the math now.
I have two degrees. I have 2 degrees. You can't say anything. I have 2 degrees. I'll pull it out. Joe,
well, don't pull it out. This is a family show.
Oh, I'll pull it out. Okay. Anyway,
I'll take you at your word.
Yes. Sleepers. My sleepy dark horse. You know, I don't really choose these beforehand. I kind of just do it on the fly. I was gonna go with Untitled, but I didn't know that was a single. So I'll go Happiness. I think Happiness is the best kind of closer you can ask for in this kind of album lane. It's pretty, airy and light, but it still has that, heavy quality that you want to wrap up this kind of emotional journey. But I also really love Nothing. I think Nothing is a great track as well. Keeps that same style that he's really wanting, with some great vocals from Marco McInnes as well. So but if I had to choose just one, it would probably be Happiness. So
cool. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Tom. Happiness. I think it's a perfect one to choose. And it's, right back to back with my favorite track on the album. So definitely check that track out if you're not listening to the whole album. But I also I guess I have two. Sycamore Girl. I like that.
it's a good one.
I thought that was a really good song. I really, especially like, while it is kind of low key and slow tempo, I do really like Thea's vocals on it. And I think her verse is great mixed with the low key instrumentals. And then her vocals complement Alex's very well. So I thought that was a really cool song. So definitely check that one out as well.
Awesome. Let's jump into ratings then, I guess.
Let's do it. Tomas, this is you.
I'll start it off.
Yup.
I had a number in mind beforehand, and I think I'm going to stick to it, because I sometimes, even Mike has tripped on this, where you kind of go through the review and have a number, and then we kind of persuade it to another number as as it goes along. But I think I'm going to stick with my original number. I love this album. I think this album has a lot of great emotional depth, a lot of great lyrical depth, a lot of great instrumentational depth, I guess is the key. There are some snoozers, like we were saying, the track listing is a little funky at times, but I really love just how in depth and how tiny, but also how big everything sounds. So I'm going to give it an 8.5, I think is the number I was going to give it. Easily Rex's best album. Just a lot going on, and he really just goes on a journey of acceptance, and he really finds it at the end. So God bless him. And I think an 8.5 is where I'm going to be sitting on this album.
Cool. Very good. Very good. As an album, it's definitely not kind of my style, beginning to end as a whole unit. There are some definitely, standout tracks which we've gotten into, and I'll probably go back to those, but in terms of the whole album, I probably won't go back to it fully. I think his lyrics are strong and personal and relatable to a lot of different situations. I think his singing is great. I think the production is great. I just can't get over that kind of middle chunk of the album where it was just, you kind of said it, snoozers. I think that was a real good word for it, unfortunately. So it just doesn't, I don't know, doesn't cleanse my palate. It doesn't get the taste buds going enough for me. So but there are a lot of positives on it. I'm kind of sitting around a 4 for me.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But I do want to check out some of his other stuff. I actually didn't listen to the Who Cares album. I want to check that out. Maybe that was his most recent album. Maybe there's been some progression in his sound, but it's just the exclamation points for me came right at the end of the album, and I was kind of hoping for some more shining points throughout. So I'm kind of sitting at a 4 for me.
Yeah. And I mean, in terms of listening experience, it's not an everyday listen for me. I don't return to it every day. It's something I'll come to every like 3-4 months. I'll be like, hey, this album was pretty good, and then kind of give it a listen through, and then be done with it. So for what it is, I think it's pretty good. But it's pretty interesting. I don't know if we've had that big of a gap between like 2 different ratings before. I'll have to go into the Excel spreadsheet and look.
I think we've had,
Maybe,
because I know like Mike has brought a lot of albums that you didn't like, and I think probably vice versa. And I seem to kind of be in the middle. Like I try and find, the positives and everything. But Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of,
No, that's fine. It's your
I was
opinion.
expecting more of kind of like a Jeff Rosenstock, more of like a raw,
Okay.
kind of more up tempo, more consistently.
Hmm.
But it's not that I hate it. I don't hate it, but
Yeah,
just kind of not my wheelhouse. That's all.
that's all right.
So
But will this be in your wheelhouse though? The Road Jam, again from Two Roads, the ale brewed with raspberries and with lemongrass added. Joe, oh, with your tiger beat pose, why don't you kick us off with some ratings?
great beer, big fan. Can't have a lot of it in one
Hmm.
sitting. Like I finished one during the episode, and I don't really have much else going on today, so I'm not going to be drinking anymore. But if I did, I don't know if I'd have another because it's just that tart you can't really have a lot of. But it is a well-made beer. It's not really an overpowering tart. The berries aren't really overpowering. Um, I really do think it's kind of like a blue moon, but with berries instead of kind of that orange side of things.
Hmm.
Very well made beer. I do like it. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10 hops for me by Two Roads.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit higher on it. I think I'm gonna give it probably about a 7, maybe a 7.5. I'd say
Okay.
somewhere in that ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that, and we harp about the X factor of a beer all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think in my opinion it has that X factor. It's it's very fruity, which if that's not your thing, then that's then you won't enjoy it as much.
Right.
Um, and again, like you were saying, it's not something that I can return to 3-4 times in a day. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm going out partying, I'm not going to pound these back. But as
Right.
something to really cleanse your palate, not cleanse your palate, but give you a taste into another style of beer that you're not necessarily as
Mm-hmm.
big on. I'm not a big Blue Moon guy in the slightest, but when you introduce it to something like these kind of berries or some other kind of flavor to it, I would be interested to see not just the peach jam, but maybe if they did it with strawberries, because I'm
Mm.
a big strawberry guy.
Okay. Yeah.
I know you're not as much, or maybe even like blueberries. They've made some really good blueberry beers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I Brose, I think I had blueberries in that one.
Yep.
And I gave that one a 10. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe if they had different variations on it, then that could be pretty interesting. But yeah, this is a solid beer, solid brewery, really great stuff from them. Probably about a 7.5, I'd say.
Cool.
Very,
Very
very
cool.
positive episode for me. I'm in a good mood.
Yeah. There you go. They're your picks.
Yeah, let's shout them out then.
Shout them out. We have
Shout
Two
'em.
Roads Brewing on Instagram.
Great.
Um, and their website, I think, what is it? tworoadsbrewing.com.
I just had that open. Let me pull that up. I just closed it accidentally, so I'm gonna assume yes, Two Roads Brewing. It's got
Yeah.
to be on the.
I
It's
mean,
it's a yeah, Two Roads Brewing. It's on the
yep.
bottle, right at the
Oh,
bottom
is
there.
it right at the bottom? Oh,
Two
yeah.
Roads
Look at
Brewing.
that.
That brewed
There
and
it is.
bottled by Two Roads Brewing, Stratford, Connecticut.
Strat City, baby. Very
Strat
good.
City, bitch. Strat City, bitch.
And then we have Rex Orange County on Instagram, just Rex Orange County.
Yes.
One of Tom's favorites. Cool.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Next up, 96.
Yeah. The hundreds approaching
Holy
quick,
shit.
buddy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Episode 96. So I was talking to Tom before we started recording. I'm actually going on vacation in a couple days. This episode is going to drop when I actually come back, but I'm going to be going to Portland, Maine for the first time. And the number one thing other than lobster rolls that I hear from people when they recommend Portland is the brewery scene. And I made a list. I'll show you. I have a whole notes list of things to do in Portland that I want to hit. And like a ton of them are just breweries. Like
Oh wow.
honestly, like probably 20 breweries. And what I thought would be cool is when I come back, I want to like kind of compile, I don't know, maybe my top 5 or my top 10 breweries in Portland. So that if anyone out there is looking to visit, you at least have a starting guide. And yeah, I thought, bring it to the podcast next episode. We'll do that. As far as music, I'm not sure what album I'll choose, but I'll think of something for sure.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, this has been the Hops
it.
and Bops podcast. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We appreciate it. Check out our backlog. We hope you've enjoyed what we brought to the table. We've had a lot of fun doing it. Give us a follow on all the socials. Stream us and watch us on all the major streaming platforms, wherever you get your podcasts. And stay tuned for the next episode and the ones in the future. So thank you so much. We'll see you next time. For Tom, I've been Joe, and we'll see you then.
Peace.